Please remember this sexy woman. On the surface, she is a gentle and elegant wife, but behind the scenes, she is a twisted killer. The woman's name is Alan. During the day, she is the petite wife in her husband's eyes. At night, she transforms into the police chief of a bar. She has a fierce and ruthless chest, making people tremble with fear wherever she goes, but there is a man who is not afraid of death who wants to touch her red line. The man got drunk and wanted to take his drinking companion to open a room. Alan saw it and walked up to advise her not to act recklessly. The southern guest not only refused to listen, but also gave him a big mouth in the back. This action directly scared the employees on the side. I didn't expect that the usually gentle and elegant woman could be so ruthless when she started to act. Although Alan was ruthless, he cared about his employees very much. He called the employee to the office and saw the bruises on the woman's face. Without saying a word, he took out money from his pocket and asked him to go to the hospital to have a look. You think this is due to the boss's kindness, but in fact, the big show has just begun. The female subordinate's name is Xiaomei. Although she appears to have no human or animal resources on the surface, she actually wants to kill her husband behind the scenes because her husband always punches and kicks her whenever he is unhappy. The man stepped on his face with a size 58 foot and insulted the woman for being lazy and indecisive every day. In order to pay off the loan they owed, her husband asked her to work as a young lady at a bar to earn money. However, Xiaomei refused, so the man grabbed her hair and beat her up. What should you do if you have such a husband? Even so, Xiaomei still had no intention of getting divorced, and in the end, she obediently went to the bar and became a hostess. On her first day here, she was called by the supervisor to quench her thirst. Due to her decent appearance, she walked into the private room and was immediately taken in by the yellow hair in front of her. Later, Xiaomei accompanied him to drink and chat, and Huang Mao stared at him with a straight gaze. It was obvious that he had been deeply attracted to women. Since then, Huang Mao sent text messages to invite him every day, and over time, the two of them got together. I thought it was just a simple transaction, but I didn't expect Huang Mao to divorce his husband in order to be with him. Upon hearing this, Xiaomei stood up and wanted to leave. Huang Mao looked at the injury on his back and advised him on the meaning of being with that kind of domestic violence man. It's better to kill him all in one go. The woman remained silent as she listened to Huang Mao's words and fell into contemplation. Gradually, she had already. Then the woman returned home and found an accidental death insurance policy in her husband's safe, which stated that the insured person could receive a compensation of 5 million yuan in insurance after death. Xiaomei looked at this insurance policy and had a bold idea in her heart. At night, the two of them were plotting a murder plan in the car. Huang Mao looked at the photo of her husband and had a perfect plan in his heart. He reassured the woman that she would handle the matter well and then caressed Xiaomei's complaint. The woman didn't say a word and listened to Huang Mao's arrangements throughout, so a murder plan was about to begin. The next night, she followed Xiaomei's instructions and arrived at the designated location. In order to prevent killing the wrong person, she took a photo of the man and looked at it repeatedly. Continuing on the path that men must pass by every day, the man walked out with an umbrella. Upon seeing it, Huang Mao immediately pulled on his mask and started the car to follow the man. Finally, his family charged towards the man with high throttle. As the sound of the impact spread, Huang Mao directly knocked the person out, and in the end, the man fell to the ground and died in the west. Xiaomei, who lived nearby at the same time, heard the sound of police sirens. He walked towards the window and looked at it, feeling very uneasy inside. At that moment, Huang Mao called and excitedly said to him. Upon hearing this, Xiaomei not only felt unhappy but also looked uneasy. She then asked where Huang Mao was, and Huang Mao said she wanted to pull the body up the mountain. The woman had originally planned to end up with a car accident scene, but she didn't expect Huang Mao to act recklessly like this. After finishing speaking, Huang Mao hung up the phone, which made him even more restless. Finally, he took a look at his husband's 5 million list and thought he could enjoy it. Just then, did the doorbell ring. Although Huang Mao had killed him, the eerie feeling of him appearing in front of her made the woman instantly uneasy. So he called Huang Mao, but he couldn't get through anyway. Just as he was still puzzled, the bell outside the door rang. He opened the door, and Huang Mao happily came to see him with a cloth doll. He pushed away Huang Mao, carefully closed the door, and when he got into the car, he said he had hit the wrong person. Huang Mao couldn't believe the truth. He said he was clearly hitting her husband. Upon hearing this, Huang Mao became very frantic and thought to himself, why did he end up hitting the wrong person even though he followed the woman's instructions? At this point, he asked Xiaomei what to do, and the woman told him to hurry up and leave Korea by car, otherwise there would be only a dead end waiting for him. Huang Mao wanted to ask him to come with him, but Xiaomei said she had no money and couldn't live anywhere she went. When she got the 5 million yuan premium, she would go find him. So Huang Mao listened to the woman's advice and drove away. I thought things would end well, but in fact, the show has just begun. The next day, he came to the rental house to look for Huang Mao. He thought he had left, but he didn't expect to be at home. Xiaomei looked at him in shock, but Huang Mao seemed to have lost his soul, talking nonsense and saying that she would hear someone calling out to him every night. This feeling almost drove him crazy. Xiaomei thought of a solution when she saw him like this. So at night they came to the place where the deceased was buried, hoping to use magic to transcend their souls, so as to resolve the entanglement of ghosts. After completing the ritual, I thought Huang Mao would be better, but in the end, Huang Mao walked towards the mountain like he was possessed by a ghost. No matter how the woman shouted, he remained indifferent. This strange feeling almost drove little Cole Wall crazy. In the end, he simply didn't stop and drove his car straight towards Huang Mao. After he killed Huang Mao, he felt very regretful in his heart. At this point, he had no idea what to do. Just then, Boss Shi called and quickly drove his small Mercedes-Benz to the scene. In the car, he asked Xiaomei what she wanted to do. At this point, the woman has been made restless and completely devoid of her own opinions. Alan told him not to worry, he will help him deal with it. The next day, they sold the car to a local scrap company with the purpose of destroying the fingerprint evidence left behind. Then they took Xiaomei to take a bath and told her that if she didn't get caught by the police, all the evidence must be destroyed thoroughly. Xiaomei thought she had met a person of great value in life, but there is no free lunch in the world. The boss's words completely exposed his true purpose. From this, it can be seen that Alan is a woman who is not simple. She plotted to kill her husband for Xiaomei and disguised herself as drowning to cheat out 5 million insurance premiums. Xiaomei then pretended to discover her husband's death and called the police after work. Quickly, the police came to her house to investigate, and Xiaomei followed the boss's words and staged a tragic scene for the police. After the investigation was completed, he followed Alan's advice and immediately cremated the body before coming to the insurance company to sign the accidental death compensation insurance policy. Soon, the huge premium of 5 million yuan was delivered to him, and he couldn't wait to put it in his bag. He then found the female boss Alan and handed him a package of money as a reward. Alan looked at the money in his bag and said to him that he didn't help him for money, and asked him to take it back and enjoy life well. Xiaomei was deeply moved by his words. She thought she had met a benefactor, but in fact, Alan's goal had just begun. Then he drank the wine in his glass, which was this one, and ultimately took his life. At night, when he woke up, he found himself tied up, and at the same time, Alan walked towards him with a chainsaw. It was obvious that all he did was for Xiaomei's 5 million yuan binding fee. And then he killed the woman alive with a chainsaw. However, upon returning home, she felt like a different person. Not only was she gentle and virtuous, but she also washed and cooked for her husband every day. What will happen to a woman who is good at disguising herself in the end? Will he die on the streets or will he take a boat to the bottom of the prison? If you don't see the end, you never know how bad the ending will be. His husband, Lao Pu, is an airport staff member. His daily job is to handle the stamping procedures for overseas tourists. Without his stamp, it is difficult to board the plane. His wife Alan came back this time to borrow Lau Park's hand to help him ascend the throne and go abroad smoothly. Lau Pu looked at his passport and questioned why he didn't use his real name, while Alan deceived him by saying that he was just borrowing a person's head. Old Wang saw that the woman wanted to run away, then threw the passport back to him and told the woman that he wouldn't do such a criminal act. Then someone rang the doorbell. He opened the door and saw that it was the neighbor next door, Old Wang. He couldn't sleep and bought some wine. He wanted to find someone to drink, but Old Park wanted to refuse. Unexpectedly, Old Wang burst in and saw Old Park's petite wife. Seeing her so sexy made Old Wang even more reluctant to leave. Go away. Quickly drinking and chatting with them. At this moment, Old Wang Sei was sneaking a peek at Alan. As the saying goes, there's a knife on the character Sei, but it won't be long before he dies here. After finishing all the beer, Old Wang wanted to continue drinking and went out to buy it. Lao Pu stopped him and said he would go by, leaving her little wife and Lao Wang at home. What kind of sparks would they create? Quickly, when Old Park returned from buying wine, he saw Alan dragging Old Wang's body. He slowly walked towards them and saw Old Wang lying on the ground covered in blood, which scared Old Park silly. Then he questioned Alan why he was walking like this. Okay, then Alan stood up and said, "Our family died here. Do you think calling the police would be useful?" Then he asked Lao Pu to help him deal with the body, and after that, they went abroad to live a new life together. Lao Pu looked at the body in front of him and couldn't help but vomit. Alan felt helpless and had to deal with Lao Wang's body himself. Afterwards, he threw the body into the bathtub. At this moment, Alan only wants to go abroad because she already has 3 homicide cases on her body. If she stays one more minute, her situation will be very dangerous. So she stood up and walked out, asking her husband to go with her, but to her surprise, she was knocked unconscious by the old man. Lao Pu immediately opened her bag and found the car key. He then went to the underground parking lot and found the little Audi that the woman had just bought. He thought he was going to run alone, but it seemed like he was looking for something important. Finally, he opened the trunk and saw a bag, which was filled with a lot of money. Seeing so much money, Lao Pu's face instantly showed a greedy smile, so he took his bag and quickly escaped from here. At the same time, when his wife woke up, she saw that the previous creditor had approached him and he asked the woman if she should repay the money she had borrowed before. Alan glanced at his bag and said that his money had been taken by the old man. Finally, the creditor asked him to call and ask where the man was. Ha ha ha. After finishing speaking, I took a knife and went to find him. At this moment, Old Park arrived at a bathing center and opened box 47. He put the money in the bag and then asked the clerk if there was any smoke here. Old man Mike said it wasn't here, only outside. So he took out the money and asked him to help buy a bag. The old man said no one was looking at the store and he couldn't leave. Due to helplessness, Lao Pu had to go out and buy it himself. Little did he know that this trip had brought his life to its end. He finished buying an ashtray and was about to go back when a man appeared in front of him. Before Lao Park could speak, he took out a knife from his bag and walked towards Lao Park with a fierce momentum. The man immediately ran away upon seeing it, and in the end, he was hit and killed by a large truck while running. However, the huge sum of 5 million yuan fell into the hands of the previous salesperson. He opened the bag and looked at the money inside, feeling very surprised. So in order to embezzle this huge sum of money, he took it home, returned home, took out all the money, and neatly and orderly placed it on the ground to look at it. Finally, he secretly hid the bag. But in the end, Alan and the creditor still found him. Alan held the photo from his phone and asked him, "Have you ever seen this person?" The man looked at it and said he hadn't seen it before. So Alan took out another photo with a bag and showed it to him, and the man continued to argue that he had never seen it before. Seeing this, it was not a solution to keep asking. The two stood up and let him have a clue before contacting them. After they left, the man immediately rode his bicycle towards home. When the man returned home, he poured out all the money in his bag. At the same time, Alan and his companions also followed, and in the end, the money returned to Alan's hands. After taking the money, as soon as they were about to leave, his old mother walked in and crazily tugged at Alan's hair. After solving everyone's problems, he walked out with his bag and saw that his gas hood was not closed yet, so he had a terrible idea. Finally, he walked away with the money in hand, while his younger brother was still playing with the kitten, completely unaware that his older brother had died inside. He walked in and saw a raging fire burning inside. When he found his elder brother, he saw that he had already died inside. Will his younger brother choose revenge next? At the same time, Alan arrived at the airport and booked a ticket to the United States. He glanced at the clock and found that he could rest for half an hour. He then put the money in the cabinet and went to the restroom to dress up. I thought I could escape here seamlessly, but in the end, an accident happened. I saw the creditor's younger brother walking behind me. He opened his bag, took out a knife from inside, and then walked straight towards the woman. If nothing unexpected happens, Alan will definitely die here. In the end, the little brother killed the person and left through the back door of the airport, but he didn't take the money. However, the 5 million yuan was discovered by the cleaning lady while cleaning the house. Finally, he opened his bag and looked at the money inside, which startled him in an instant. So he secretly took the 5 million yuan back home. The film ends here. If you find this huge sum in front of the screen, would you choose to submit it or take it as your own? May I discuss it in the comments section?